Today we're going to talk about Colorado House Bill 1106. Even if you don't live in Colorado, it's worth listening to this video because you will likely see, if there has not been a bill filed like this, you will likely see a bill that is very similarly constructed filed in your state. What it specifically does is it targets people who have families, who have children. You will now no longer be able to keep your firearms readily accessible for immediate use based on this legislation. Now it's going to advance to the Senate, where it will likely pass if not met with enough opposition. The divide between the elites and the people who have never faced violence and the rural world is growing. They're basically saying that your children, if you live in a rural area, let's say you go into town, now need to sit there and watch all of your livestock get murdered by a pack of wild dogs. Now there is an affirmative defense clause in this bill for such an eventuality, but then you're admitting that you left firearms readily available for your child to grab. In essence, committing a misdemeanor. So while it's an affirmative defense, you'll still likely be charged if it came out that your child was the one to protect your livestock. In addition, you'll be charged with a misdemeanor if this scenario unfolds. Your child beats you home from school. Your child is a mature young adult. Someone kicks in the door while they're working on their homework. You are 2 hours away from home right now because you're at work. Your child retrieves your pistol or shotgun and defends the home. Congratulations, you just committed a misdemeanor. And there have been several cases in recent years where young adults have defended the home. Parents should be allowed to make that decision because they're the parents of that young adult. I hate when young people are sold short on their own abilities and their own capability to make good decisions, because there are many out there many who had to grow up fast. And by the judgment of the 70, 80, and 90-year-olds who run this country, many of our founding fathers would be too immature to possess or have access to firearms. Even though we're good with 17-year-olds joining the military and we're good with 16-year-olds voting now, apparently, that's totally fine. But the idea that a 16, 17-year-old young adult who might already have a job, who might be playing a big role in the family, is too immature to have access to even a .22 rifle to go squirrel hunting or shoot some cans in the backyard. It's preposterous. But this legislation would effectively create that misdemeanor when it inevitably passes. Now, I would recommend, if you live in Colorado, if you don't already have a gun safe, you should probably get one, simply because violent crime across the nation is going to increase, period. And if you don't need immediate access to your whole collection, you should try to lock them up as best you can, simply as a preventative measure against crime. Now, if it should come out and reasonable proof is available, or someone approaches law enforcement saying, hey, this person's not complying, it absolutely opens up your home to inspection by law enforcement to ensure you're in compliance with this new law. Now, what I find really bad about this bill is it really doesn't actually define what a resident of your house is. So if someone kicks in your door, are they now considered a resident? Because it actually does not provide a legal definition of resident. So you, in theory, depending on the jurisdiction you live in, if you don't have a way to deny access to your firearms, you might be charged with a misdemeanor for every single firearm stolen. Not saying that's how this bill will be applied, but I certainly wouldn't want to be the test case, especially if you live closer to Denver or Boulder. And I spend quite a bit of time in Colorado. I know the lay of the land fairly well. And those are really different countries from the rest of Colorado. You go out east, it's basically Kansas. You go down south, it's basically New Mexico. Different cultures, different mentalities. And the state is effectively run by Boulder and Denver, which is why you get these type of crappy laws. Now, I had a friend tell me, and I didn't research this, but Boulder County at one point, and still might be the case, had the highest number of NFA items in the entire country. So there's a lot of gun owners in Colorado, and a lot of people moved out here because they were classical liberals, libertarian types, anarchists. They wanted to be left alone by government. That's why you move to a place like Colorado. However, with the influx of Texans and Californians, and especially the Californians, their policies are quickly taking over the entire state. Taxes are going up, the cost of living has exploded. And it's really unfortunate to watch these type of laws come to Colorado, because it flies in the face of the people who moved here for the aforementioned reason. They moved here because they wanted to be left alone. And these type of laws are going to continue to advance. They're going to basically tell you how to parent your children. They're going to tell you how to secure your property on your own property. And you will see more and more of these bills. And you would think that it should be my house, my choice, right? Well, no, that's not actually how they think at all. It's their way or no way. And that will continue to be their mantra as they continue to push things further and further in the direction of complete control of your life. So we must combat these bills at the state level. We must prevent them from passing at the state level, because it's pretty unlikely that we're going to see anything massive passed on the national level. But make sure you're paying attention, because H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446 did pass the House. Now, it's unlikely with the filibuster that they'll pass in the Senate, but you need to be contacting your elected officials now. Call them if there are the opportunities to schedule meetings in person. Go meet with these people. We have to get ahead of this. Otherwise, we're going to be facing a slew of gun control bills, the likes of which we have never seen before. The likes of which will pass. And they might be a bit neutered and modified from some of the extreme stuff we saw coming out of the current administration's campaign, but they will pass nonetheless. So make sure you stay involved. Make sure you join FPC, GOA, your state rifle association. Make sure you sub to me here on YouTube. Hit that bell notification button, and make sure to find me on Alt Tech. The links to that will be in the description below.